Alright guys, welcome back to the garage. It's Sunday, November the 7th, 2021. Just coming up to about 8:30 a.m. It's been a few weeks since I've been out in the garage. I've missed you guys. I've missed posting videos, but for a number of reasons. Actually, I've been traveling quite a bit for work. I was in Atlanta last week and Chicago the week before, and still having a few shoulder issues on my right shoulder, so it's prevented me from working on the car a little bit. But we're getting better, and we should have some time coming up in the near future to continue working on the car. I did do a tiny bit of work on the car in the past couple of weeks, just really small power hour jobs, and I'll maybe attach a little bit of video here after this clip. I did get the vent installed, and you'll see that operational, I think, in that video clip that I took, so that's good. I'm happy that's back on the car. And I did install these wheel centers, and I'll attach a little bit of video for that. I think those look good. I think we'll do a little walk around the car while it's out in the sun. I don't think we've got any video with the car out in the sun with the actual bumpers on and with the hardtop painted. Unfortunately, I'm still on light duty as my shoulder is sort of recovering. I'm trying to be good and not lift anything heavy or do anything too strenuous. So light duties today, so we're trying to pick a few jobs that I can do out here without going too crazy. One of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to change the lug nuts out on the car. You may have recalled me saying that I wasn't happy with the black spline drive lug nuts that I purchased for this car, and you can see I've only got 2 of them on each wheel. I only put 2 back on when I lowered the car down off the jack stands the last time. So I've got some chrome lug nuts in stock now, along with some chrome wheel locks that I'd ordered. So those are here, ready to go back on the car. So that's one small job we can do, is change the lug nuts out. Second job that I want to do is a friend of mine, former TR250 owner, Peter, messaged me and said he'd had some TR250 wheel center decals or decals made up for his car, and he'd actually had an extra set that he'd sent along to me to utilize. I think they're going to look absolutely fantastic on the wheel centers of this car in particular. So thanks very much for sending those along, Peter. We'll put them to good use, and we'll stick those on shortly. I think the first job we're going to tackle today, though, is the pop-up vent here. And I've just installed the seal, and I'm actually shocked at how well this seal fits, first of all. I've just tapped out the holes here for the little set screws that hold the flap down. I realized that I actually broke one off when I actually was removing these, so I'm going to have to try to get a nut on the bottom of this last one. So hopefully I can do that, get my hands up and under there, and that won't be too much of a challenge. The 2 of the other ones are fine. So we're going to grab the vent. I think I've got it inside the car here, safe from any paint overspray. So we'll fit that vent first, and we'll get that functioning as it should. All right, we've got the vent flap installed, and I was able to get a nut on the bottom of that screw by getting my hand underneath there. The seal is a little bit thick, but of course that's going to wear in. So it actually fit very well, which I said was quite a surprise, because normally those seals don't fit that well, and they require to be trimmed or glued. I did neither. That actually just sit on the little flange piece that's sitting under that vent. So happy about that. So let's see if this thing functions as it should. There's a lever under the dash here on the passenger side, and when I pull that, it should pop up. There's a little spring mechanism to bring it up, and a little lever here in the inside. So here we go. Up, down. So there we go. Took me a while to get that installed, but it's on and operating as it should, so I'm happy about that. So on to the next little task. I think we'll try to fit those wheel centers, the decals. See how they look. Alright, and for some of you who've never seen the lever location, here we are on the passenger side footwell, and you can see it here. So this would have been on cars up until 1972, I believe, and then they went with a fixed vent there. For example, my 73 TR6 does not have a pop-up, it just has an actual open vent there with a screen. So that's where the lever is, and that's what operates it, and all is good. Let's move on. Alright, we've decided to remove the Koenig emblem from the center of the wheel caps, and we've just cleaned this up a little bit, removed some of the adhesive and some of the leftover foam backing that was on the original badge, and we're just about to apply our adhesive back TR250 badges. So just wanted to show you that. That's what we're doing. I didn't really want to have a raised edge on this badge. I wanted it to sit flat. That's why I decided to remove these and push the sticker right down in the wheel centers. Right, there's the finished result. I think that looks pretty good. Good enough to go on the car. So we'll finish the other three, put them on the car, and then I'll give you a quick walk. I'll give you a comparison before I take the cap off this one. So there's obviously the stock cap, and then the 250 cap. I like it. Matches the theme of the car much better. Again, it'll look better with the chrome lug nuts in there. We'll put those on shortly. But yeah, that looks better than that, in my mind. Now everybody's going to ask me, hey, what type of rims are those? Alright, just about to move on to the next little project, which is installing the chrome lug nuts. So we've got some chrome wheel locks here as part of the set. So just so you know, for anybody who's looking for these, it's a 7/16 and there's the part number 24132, and these are from McGuard. So obviously wheel locks, and there is the wheel key that you must keep with the car, don't forget, or you'll have a problem changing out your spare if you need to. So again, one last look with the black lug nuts, at least two there, and those will be gone. I think the chromies will look better. Let's have a look after we come back. Alright, lug nuts are swapped out. I think those look better, in my opinion. So they're going to be staying on the car versus the black ones. Small details that count, I think. Again, you might have liked the black look, but I think the chrome looks better on this car. So we'll go with that. They're not torqued or anything. Those wheels are going to be off again. I've still got to bleed the brakes, etc., do all the hydraulics, and do things like adjust the wheel bearings and things like emergency brakes. So there's a lot of work still to be done on this car. Don't be fooled. So it may look like it's ready to go, but it's far from that. So we'll be out here working on it for quite some time yet. Alright, on to the next job. Actually, if I think a little further back, I don't think that I've actually shown the hardtop on the car in the painted version. I know I've posted some photos to my Facebook page and to my Instagram of this on the car, but I don't think I've posted any videos. So if you don't follow me on Instagram or Facebook, this will be the first time that you've seen the car with the color match hardtop. So it turned out pretty well. It's just sitting on there right now. The seals are not on it yet. It's not clamped down. It's just sitting there, but I think it turned out pretty well. This is the first time I've actually seen it out in the sun, although the sun's not really direct at the moment. But I think that's looking pretty good. You can see some, I think you can probably see some of the metallic in that top. It's really going to shine when the sun hits it. So that is looking good. A little high in the rear for my liking, so we'll try to do a little work to drop that down over the winter time. I still have quite a few projects to do on this car that we will attack over the winter. It would have been nice to get it on the road and do a bit of a road test before the snow flies, but that's not going to happen. I'm not going to rush it, so things like the hydraulics still have to be bled, for example. The dash has to be put back together. Interior needs to be put together. So there's still quite a few little things to do on the car, but that will take some time. And based, like I said, on my work schedule, I'm not quite sure how much time I'll have to spend on this car in the next little while. I know I've got a few trips planned coming up in the future that will prevent me from being home and prevent me from being out in the garage. So it is what it is. It's a vicious circle. Need to work to be able to do what I do as far as restorations on these cars. But yeah, it's looking good with those bumpers. It's getting there. Alright, so let's talk about the plans for the rest of the day. Being that it's November 7th, the snow is not too far behind. So let's talk about our winter plans. Alright, so today is storage and car moving day and getting set up for the winter. So the plans have changed slightly from what I was intending to do over the winter time. and this might upset a few people, but it is what it is, and it has to be done. So here is the plan for the winter. So I've got the dream team coming today. I've got Alin and Les stopping by, and we're going to head up to storage. I'm going to follow them up there on my Harley and get the Harley put away for the winter time. That's one of the things I need to do today before the snow flies. And the other thing I need to do is I need to bring another car into the garage to have to work on over the winter time. I'm going to be working obviously on finishing the TR250 over the winter and doing those odd jobs that I just mentioned. But I also have another project that I'm going to be bringing home, and I had originally threatened to start working on the 59 TR3A project that I have at the side of the house. That's about 50% done in the restoration phase. But that's going to be put on hold for a little while longer. As some of you might know, I have a 1981 Alfa Romeo Spider, and I've threatened to get that home, I think, for the past 3 years in the springtime, and have never made it home yet. I've had an exhaust for that car in the trunk and here in a box for the last, I think, probably 3 years, and have yet to put that on. So I'm going to be bringing the Alfa home, and we're going to be doing some projects on the Alfa. I've got a gentleman by the name of, we're going to call him Doc, that's interested in purchasing the car. As you probably many of you know, I'm not very good at selling cars. I like to hang on to them, but it comes to a point now where I'm not having the ability to store them all. So I think I'm up to 10 cars with the 2 daily drivers. So as you can imagine, it comes quite a task to find storage for all of those vehicles. One of them I'm even storing at a Lynn's in a barn, so or a tent basically. So I'm out of storage. I've got my Capri, 2 of my Capris are outside storage at the moment. So the problem being that as soon as I restore a car, I need to find indoor storage for the restored cars. I'm not too concerned about keeping the unrestored cars outdoors, because obviously they're going to be restored in the future. But as I do more restorations and finish cars, I need to find actual indoor storage space for those cars. The TR250 will be the next one that requires indoor storage. That'll be next year. Once this is finished completely, obviously we're going to have something else in the garage to work on, and this car will go into storage so it doesn't get damaged during the restoration process in this garage. So long story short, the Alfa's coming home with the intent to sell it in the spring. Like I said, there needs to be some jobs done on that. The exhaust for one, I think some transmission mounts for another, and a few other little jobs that I've never got done on the car, fuel lines for example. And I've got these parts, or I've had these parts standing by, I've just never had the time to put them on. So now is the time, and we'll do a little video series on working on the Alfa Romeo with the intent on possibly selling it in the... So fortunately I'll get one last ride today up to storage on the Harley. I think either Les or Alin will follow me up in the truck. Didn't get to ride the bike a whole lot this summer, unfortunately. And the 250 was kind of taking my attention. Still runs like a dream though, starts every time. Anyway, we'll enjoy our last ride on that today. So we're up at storage. We have the dream team joining us today.
Intense.
Alin and Les. What did you do to your finger?
Try to
you got a toilet paper roll on your finger. Is that in case of emergency?
Yeah, just in case.
Anyway, we're up at storage, and we're just about to move some vehicles around. The Alfa is at the rear. This is the TR6 on the right, the TR3, and one of those two back there is the Alfa. TR8's over there, and then Les has got his Capris here, and this is a Merkur, I believe, and an ATV. All right, so we'll get to work. I'm probably going to move a few cars around in here, and then I've got some Capris to move out here as well. We've got a body shell for parts over here that we need to move to the back, and that's going to join the other Mark 1 Capri we have back here. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, I'm out of storage space, so I've got my Mark 1 Capri back here, the good one we're going to call it, sitting back here on plywood and just basically tarped up. We're going to come up and put a full tarp on this at a later date before it snows. It's a shame it has to be outside, but like I said, there's only so much storage. Anyway, let's move some cars inside. Right, the Alfa is out in daylight. It's the first time it's seen light in a little while, so it's looking good. We've got the car's rearranged inside. So we're going to now move some of the Capris around outside, move them to the back of the building. Les has got an empty spot now here to work on his TR6. All right, the Alfa is already strapped up and ready to go, so we'll take the long way home, the slow road home. Les will follow us, and we'll get it in the garage and in position for the winter in a few minutes. All right, daylight savings time, getting pretty dark pretty early. But we managed to get done what we needed to get done today. So the 250 on the left hand side of the garage for the winter. And we've got the Alfa on the right hand side of the garage. So what we'll do is we'll get the Alfa up on stands shortly, and we'll begin work on that by installing the new exhaust, as mentioned, that I've had for some time now. So anyway, safe and sound, bike is away, cars are moved around up in storage, so all is good, and that makes me feel a little bit better about being prepared for the winter projects. So it's a pretty good rule of thumb that the day after you store your cars for the winter, it's always going to be a gorgeous day, and it's absolutely gorgeous this afternoon. It's about 16 degrees Celsius here, bright blue skies, just perfect weather. We've cut the grass for the last time this year, so that'll be the last time we cut it until spring next year. Most of the leaves are off the tree. We'll rake up what falls next, and that'll be done for that. So back to the cars, and before I go, I thought I'd talk about what the plans are as far as what needs to be done on these two cars over the winter months, and I've made a list to help me with that, so I'll share that with you now. Alright, let's start looking at the 1968 Triumph TR250 winter list, and we'll start by going over the September list that I made. I did not make a list for October, but some of these items carried over into October. Although I didn't do a lot of work on the car, I did do some things. So from an interior perspective, the door panels are now on. The front carpets need to be installed. The trans tunnel is half done. We've got the front part done to the bulkhead, which is the hardest part. And the cubby door is now on the dash, although the dash needs to be refixed because we were in behind it when we were doing some wiring on the hazard switch, for example, so we'd pulled the dash back out temporarily. The steering wheel is installed. The new steering wheel looks good. The bumpers from Vietnam, we've got a whole video series on that. They are now installed. The driving lights we decided to leave off until at least the spring. We might have to come up with some new type of bracket system to utilize those if we decide to go ahead and do that. The scuttle vent flap is going to be part of this video, probably preceding this segment, so that has been done. Obviously the wipers are now in the car and functioning as they should. The wing beading still needs to be fixed. It still does slide a little bit, so those tabs need to be bent under. We need to reposition the beading on the rear valence as well to bring that up to meet the taillight, so we'll do that still. The wing duct fixing has been done, so it's all been bolted up on the inside so these ducts do not move or rattle. The grille fitting has been done. The door window seals, these have not been done. They are on order. There's actually another seal that goes in here to guide the glass or keep the glass from rattling. So we've got those seals on order, so they should be coming soon. The chrome trim on the lower, and this is the lower rocker or sill trim strip. We haven't decided whether we're going to put that on yet or not, so that's a TBD item. The hardtop painting is indeed done, and we're quite happy with the results of that. I'm glad I color matched the wheels and the top. That seems to have turned out pretty well. The carb linkage has been fixed, and the choke lines have been run, so we'll cross that off, or it's been crossed off. The final wiring has been completed. We still need to fire the car up, although it is wired to fire. We still need to do a few things before we get to that point. Some of the other things that are not done, the alignment and the safety certification are probably going to be taking place on the same day, since the alignment can be done at the place where the safety certification can be done for this car. At some point we're going to get this professionally detailed, so a good cut and buff and maybe a ceramic coating, and then of course we're going to have to do some bug fixing and driving and tuning. So I've transferred some of those projects over to this list here that we've talked about already. The interior dash, as I mentioned, needs to go back. The hardtop trim, I'd removed the trim, all the foam seals to paint it, so those all need to be glued back in place. The actual Surrey top fitting, so I have a black canvas Surrey top, so we've got to figure out the fitting of that. that top as a front fixing addition to it, so a modification to use the soft top fixing rail. So we'll get that fitted to the car eventually. The hydraulics all need to be done, so the brakes and the clutch need to be done, as well as the adjustment of the emergency brake, for example. Still need to add gear oil in the Nissan R200 differential, and we're going to check all of our fluids at the same time. We'll probably do an engine oil change. We still have the brake-in oil in there, so we'll probably swap that out as well. The trim strips and beading, as I'd mentioned already, still need to be done. The alignment I'd mentioned, the safety and certification still needs to be done, and the professional detailing is also back on this list. So those are the winter projects for the TR250, so enough to keep me going on that for a little while at least. All right, let's talk about the winter projects for the 1981 Alfa Romeo Spider Veloce. So we've just popped the trunk. I was going to say boot, but I can't really say that now. We've got the rear section of the exhaust already sitting in the trunk, ready to go. We've got the center section over here in a box, ready to go. So that would be the first thing we do once we get this car up on jack stands, will be the full exhaust installation of the mid pipe and the rear pipe. The fuel lines are original on this car. It's probably a good, although they're not leaking at all, probably be a good opportunity to change all of those. This is a Spica fuel injected car, and the lines do have some pressure in them, so it's probably a good idea to change those. As I'd mentioned, they are original to the car. One of the rear engine or trans mounts is cracked, or the rubber has perished, so we have new mounts to install for that. I did notice that when I was jacking the car up to put these stands under, that the wheel bearings seem to be a little bit loose here on the driver's side. So we'll have a look at the wheel bearings. The passenger side seem to be pretty good, but we're going to replace both if we're going to do one. So the wheel bearings, we'll swap those out. We're going to lubricate the window tracks and probably the center switches. The switches sometimes need to have a little bit of work for the power windows in this car. The driver's side operates as it should, although it's a little bit slow, and the passenger side's a little bit temperamental, so we'll play around with the power windows. The quarter light locks, so these cars are known. Obviously the quarter light's open, but there's supposed to be a little locking mechanism here. These fall off over time, so we're going to affix the quarter light locks back to the glass, probably with some rear view mirror adhesive, so we'll have to pick some of that up. You can probably see the quarter light lock on that side is still on, just the driver's side has popped off. The turn signal mechanism, we've lost the stock here on the turn signal mechanism, so that broke off. It was there when it was delivered to me, and it had been repaired once previously, so we're going to get a new switch for that and install that and not have to deal with trying to repair that broken stock once again. The tires on this car are actually in great shape. They're almost brand new, but of course they're quite old. This car was in storage for about 15 years, I believe, so these tires, if I take a look at the date code on them, I'm sure they're quite old. So we're going to be buying some new tires, probably some Vredestein Sprint Classics for this car, which would be sort of period correct. The original tires on this car would have been Michelin's. We're going to do a head retorque. It's kind of crucial on these cars, so we'll go ahead and retorque the head. Who knows how long it's been since it's been done. There's a couple little small tears in the driver's side seat here at the bottom, so we're going to see if we can get those stitched up at a upholstery place. They don't look too bad. Of course, the passenger side is in perfect condition. What else have we got on the list? Interior detail, just a basic cleaning, and that's never really been done in this car, so I'd probably like to shampoo the carpets and give the interior dash a good cleaning, all the gauges a good cleaning, etc., and that will spiff things up a little bit. The belts on the car have probably, I'm not sure if they've ever been changed, but it's probably a good idea to do them. So we've got new belts for the fan and for the Spica injection pump. I did notice on one of my videos that I did on the car previously, then when I put the car in reverse, the reverse lights didn't come on, so I'm not sure whether that's a switch issue on the gear shift lever, or maybe just the bulbs have burnt out. So we're going to check that. Could be also a fuse issue, so we're going to see what's going on with that. Hopefully that's going to be an easy fix. And then possibly a bunch of add-ons. As I mentioned, this car is going to be sold in the spring. The potential owner may have some additional projects that we've been sort of discussing via email, and I think he's going to make a call on some of them. Possibly maybe some new rims. He's been talking about possibly doing a bumper conversion back to a chrome bumper. Although it's a pricey option to do that, it does make the car, in some people's eyes, it makes the car look a little bit better and a little bit cleaner. It's kind of like the old, you know, the Triumphs, the pre-73 cars had the chrome bumpers versus the 74 and up had the rubber bumpers. Same thing with the safety standards of the day. They started adding more and heftier bumpers to these cars, and it kind of, in some people's eyes, destroyed the looks of them. So there is a bumper conversion for this car that he may decide to do. We will see. So that is the list for the winter projects on the Alfa.